Welcome back, team. Another cracking day here in Far North Queensland, and welcome back to my backyard kitchen, where today we are going on an epic journey, a culinary journey, if you will, of deliciousness, where we're going to be cooking a smoked duck, peanut and pineapple curry. It's a hell of a ride. Let's get to it. So the first thing we need to do is get our ducks ready. And what I'm going to do today is make a sausage out of the necks. So I've got some pork left over in the fridge, and I want to collect some of the fat from out of the back here to put into the sausage. The sausage needs to be like a 70-30 ratio of meat to fat. So I'm just going to collect some of the fat out of the back end of the duck and make sure it's all clear. And I'll do that with all of them. And then we'll take the necks off. So it's a really rich, pungent curry. We're going to cook it down in fresh coconut cream that we're going to make ourselves, and some of this rendered duck fat. Jazzy, this duck fat is not for you. It's for me. She has a habit of trying to take the food while I'm cooking it. Got one more duck. So just pulling out all that nice, yummy, delicious duck fat out of the back. Okay. Just need to pop that in the fridge to get it icy cold for mincing. Okay, now to get the necks off the ducks. Now the neck is the most amazing natural sausage casing you can get. So we just want to cut it really closely to the breast and cut off the neck skin without actually damaging it. And we want to pull it back like this, not the esophagus, and just pull that neck skin off the neck itself like that. And that's going to be our sausage casing. Now I get it looks pretty grisly at the moment, but wait till it's all tidied up. It's going to be a thing of wonder. And we'll tuck the wings in behind like this so that our bird hangs like that. Now we're just going to put that off to the side for a moment while we get the rest of them ready. So once again, just in close to the breast, nice sharp knife, and then pull off the neck of the duck like this. You can have that bit, Jazz. There you go. We'll just hang them to dry a little bit above the fire while we get ourselves organised with everything else. So once we've taken the duck necks off the duck itself, it's really important that we clean off, using our fingies, some of this excess fat and veins, etc., so that we end up with a really beautiful silken neck. Now that one's got a little hole in it, but that's okay. Do the next one, making sure you pull off the windpipe. Not everyone's cup of tea, I understand that, but I assure you, all this gruesomeness leads to something of beauty, something of wonder. And it's quite the craft to be able to do this. There's another neck. We need to tie off the end of the sausage so that it can stay closed when we fill it with our beautiful, yummy filling, which will be a pork and duck fat filling, nice and crunchy, with a little bit of pounded garlic and coriander root in there, and maybe some oyster sauce, whatever takes my fancy. Now we need to get these guys into the fridge so they're nice and cold, ready to be stuffed. So I had some leftover Bushy Creek pork leg that I just cut into cubes and threw in the freezer. And it's really great tip. If you want to make a great sausage, everything needs to be icy, icy cold. So you want it to be nearly frozen solid, okay? Diced up pork meat and a bunch of the duck fat we collected. Another tip, make sure your mincer itself is cold. So I keep this guy sanitized and in the fridge at all times. If you've got cold filling and a really cold mincer, it's going to make sure you get the ultimate sausage. And that's what we're after, the ultimate sausage. So bang it all together and get your mincer organised and mince it while it's frozen cold. straight through the mincer while it's nice and cold. Pop it all in the top. Now, I'm also going to throw in a couple of garlic cloves. See, I'll add that later. And you can see the garlic coming through with the meat. There you go. Now, with the pork minced and the duck fat, we need to get that weight straight away before popping it back in the fridge. So, 747. I'm just going to write that down in my little magic book here. 747 grams. And that way we can work out our ratio of milk powder, salt and seasoning, just so we get that super crunchy, super delicious sausage that I know we all love. I'm going to bang that in the fridge. So while that sausage is chilling down to that optimum super cold temperature, we'll start getting the curry paste ready. Something I love about cooking, and I have waxed lyrical about this for most of my professional life, is maximising flavour by eking it out. It's in the margins, it's in the scraps, it's the bits left in the bottom of the pan where the artist makes the actual magic happen. So we're going to peel some shallots and keep all of the scraps. The scraps are going into the duck guts. We're going to stuff the duck with all the leftovers of the things that won't end up in our curry paste. So our curry paste is going to have some red shallots and some garlic, some lemongrass, some galangal and some shrimp paste. So really I should be having 2 bowls going here. One sec. So we need a bowl for our scraps and a bowl for the actual curry paste ingredients. So those will chop up in a second, but I just really want to get those ducks full of this beautiful, yummy, aromatic flavour. It's a wonderful feeling as a cook, both professional and at home, to be able to make sure we're doing the right thing and getting absolutely every little bit of flavour out of what we're cooking. Now, we could be using this in a stock to season our curry, which we might end up doing. See where my whim takes me today. Or we could be toasting it and using it as like smoking embers to flavour the meat. But for now, we're just going to stuff the ducks with it. So I'm going to take a couple of ginger slices as well. Now this ginger is so young, I've given it a wash, but it absolutely does not need peeling in any way. You can see my knife just glides through it. Or might also be because I've got a super sharp knife, but either or. A little bit of our turmeric. Look at this stuff. I mean, it's like bright, luminescent orange. And it does stain everything it touches, but has the most incredible perfume and really lends the curry a wonderful hue and flavour. I'm just going to use a little bit of this in the stuffing for the duck first of all. And then we've got some of this galangal, also super young and in season at the moment. It's been a really long, hot, wet summer. Well, not that wet, but pretty wet for most of you. But for here in Far North Queensland, probably could do with more rain. But everything's starting to bloom in the gardens. It's just like full to the brim with greenness. So some of our beautiful galangal. Now, galangal and ginger do differ quite a bit. I've always said that kind of ginger strikes me as the more feminine and galangal the more masculine. It's got a bit more of a suave brutishness to it, but I just love. So I've got some galangal slices and I've got a few coriander roots here that I've been soaking in water. So they're all clean and free of dirt. We're going to put those in the duck as well. And then some of our lemongrass. Now the bit of lemongrass that we want to use in a curry is this innermost purple piece. So you have to sacrifice a hell of a lot of lemongrass to actually get to the bit that's the best. And if you keep peeling down, and you want to be super judicious about this, all the way down to the most tender part of the lemongrass, if we just give it a little knock, out shoots the little root. Now the root's not super great in the curry, but this is the part we want. And I'm going to pound the whole curry paste up by hand, so it's imperative that the lemongrass is cut up as fine as possible so that it takes a bit of the work out for me who has to pound it all to bits. So this would be the lemongrass we use in our paste. And then that scrappy stuff is what I can put inside the duck. So I'll just get us a few more bits and pieces and then we'll get those ducks ready to go. Now there's one or two more things I do need to give that duck the ultimate flavour, and that's some curry leaves and some kaffir lime leaf from the garden. So I'll just grab those. And some kaffir lime leaves. The other thing I've got to put in these ducks is this beautiful array of spices that I've been toasting on the hearth of the oven for the last hour or so. Some of them possibly a little bit too toasty, but that'll just add to that fantastic smoky perfume of the duck. And so in here I've got some cinnamon, some star anise, some bay leaves that have been toasted, some cloves, and a little bit of cumin and coriander. So they're going to go into the duck cavity in a moment as well, and then some of them will go into the curry. Let's rip into stuffing these ducks. So, get one of the birds. You can see they're already starting to dry out and take on some of that smoke flavour, which is fantastic. So, into here I need some kaffir lime leaves, a little bit of turmeric and coriander root, a little bit of grinder in the background, which we love. Love a little bit of Saturday morning house improvements. And then we also need to put in one of our cinnamon sticks, a little bit of our toasted star anise, and a few of these other cumin and coriander spices that have got that beautiful wood smoky perfume to them. And for good measure, we need a garlic clove. Just gives that a bit of a crack. And that's going to go in there as well. Now we need to lace her up. So, grab a nice big skewer and skewer up our duck, and that'll seal together as it cooks. And what will happen is all of those spices on the inside of the duck will warm up and they'll steam and perfume the duck from the inside out. So we're going to hang this guy back up over the fire, just slow and slow, not in the smoker yet, just doing its thing up here. And we'll do another one. Another thing we need to do is pull the legs down and just make sure that they're out of their sockets slightly. Okay, with all the ducks done, we just want them to hang up and dry for a good 45 minutes or so before we get them in the smoker. So I'll clean up and we'll get ready to finish those sausages off. Righto, let's rip back into these sausages. I've got my mince super duper cold. It's essential you get the mince as cold as you can at all times. So we're going to add 1.5% salt, okay, which for me here is going to be a good couple of pinches. And that's going to go onto our sausage meat. And then I do like to use a little bit of nitrate. Probably unnecessary. We're going to be cooking it straight away and we're going to eat it today. But the great thing here is when I'm smoking in the smoker, I want to smoke at really low temperatures to get as much of that yummy smoky flavour into the sausage, and it means it's going to sit at low temps for quite some time. So it's important to use a little bit of this. You can grab it from your local butcher supply or something similar. Essential for salami making, sausage making and curing in general. So it's only the tiniest amount needs to be used. So, okay, so just the tiniest. I'm going to be going. Okay, so we've got some of our nitrate in there as well. And we also need some milk powder. It's a fantastic binder. You don't have to use it, but it just means that the sausage is not dairy free, but it's going to give it that yummy snap and crunch. Now I just need to add 10% water. So the water helps give the sausage a little bit of hydration, a little bit of tenderness. Beautiful. Now, into the sausages, I'm going to add some ginger. You can see I love ginger. It seems to be popping up in everything today, but that's okay. So all I need is a couple of fine little slices, especially fresh like this. It'll just make its way through the sausage meat as it's cooking in the smoker. Probably a little bit too much. And I'm going to add some oyster sauce, which is super delish. Good slug of that. That adds that kind of umami flavour, that really rich, savoury flavour that we all love so much. And some white pepper. Now, not too much white pepper. It is very, very strong, but just a little. There's the win for you. I reckon half of it went in my notebook and the other half went into the sausos. Now, I'm going to bang a glove on for this because it gets a bit goozy. We just need to give this a good mush up, making sure that there's an even distribution of all of that milk powder, salt, ginger, white pepper. You can see that as you work it, it gets tackier and tackier. And I can smell the garlic and the ginger coming off it already. Just want to build up a little bit of that protein. You could put this in a stand mixer if you wanted, but you can just do it by hand. Just give it a good slap. Oh. Oh, now, you know the sausage is ready. Make sure it's still cold, but when it really starts to get goopy and quite tacky, it's not wet at all. The meat's sucked up all of that moisture. The milk powder's helping it bind together. You're really starting to get some of that beautiful garlic ginger flavour coming out. Time to stuff these snags. I've got these super cold sausage skins, the duck necks out of the fridge, and the sausage mix itself has had a moment or two to rest. And then we just want to force that filling up into the duck neck. Push it in. You can see it's already firming up into a fantastic looking snag. Now this is the one that had a slight hole, but that won't matter. I need to secure that with a little bit of string. And then we can cut off the excess bit of duck neck that's not needed. Go in the fireplace. And there's the first of our snags. So again, we'll just don't need all of it. Hey, get down! You're not on sausage duty, okay? Oh, that little bit I threw in the fire smells incredible already. Okay. Now, a sauso like this, it's really important we cook it at a low temperature. If it gets cooked too hard, too fast, it'll burst, and all that hard work will be down the gurg. So I just want these guys to have a moment or two longer in the fridge to firm up and set, and then we'll get them in the smoker. Look at that, cracking. So now with the sausages in the fridge and our ducks just warming nicely over the fireplace here, that skin's getting nice and dry, it's time to rip into the curry paste. So it's a bit of a riff on a red curry paste, maybe it's a yellow curry paste, I don't know. I kind of find the whole word curry is a bit of an anomaly for me. What does it mean? Spicy sauce, and it covers God knows how many nations and how many iterations. So what we're going to make is basically a sweet, salty, lemongrass forward sauce that's really smoky and delicious, and fortified with some tamarind and some fish sauce and some duck stock. So it'll be sweet, salty and sour and really, really rich, and we'll braise the peanuts in the sauce for a while as well. So I'm just going to fang a grate onto the fire. And we're going to do our dried chilies two ways. So the first of which, I'll just toast some so they get that extra smoky sort of flavour. Ideally, I mean, I couldn't find any yesterday morning at the shop, but you want to use really big chilies. The bigger the dried chili, the more chili flavour and the less heat. I love it spicy, but not everyone at the table tonight will. So these guys are kind of halfway. They're going to be pretty damn hot. Just pop a couple of these on the grill here to toast up and smoke slightly. There we go. Now the other ones for our paste, I'm going to soak in water and get rid of all of these seeds so that they're not so spicy. So, just pop that out of the way. With a bowl of sort of lukewarm water, I suppose, cutting them in half and put them in there. And the seeds will soak and lift out of the dried chili, and the dried chili will be able to pound into our paste. Jazz, that is the last thing you want to eat, buddy. I swear to God. In fact, maybe you should eat it. Maybe Jazz should eat the chilies and then she'll leave me and my sausages alone. Anyway, these guys. Things we want in our paste. We need some red shallots. So we'll just slice these guys up. It'll make my life with the mortar and pestle a lot easier. And the onions add beautiful sweetness to the paste. Nothing quite like the serene and soft sounds of chopping, I reckon. Okay, we need to add some turmeric to our paste. So just a couple of knobs there. I don't really have a recipe for this. It's more just going on feel and a bit of a ratio. Certainly more onion than garlic, and then a little bit less then again of the turmeric. If you have too much turmeric, it does have a really strong mentholy flavour, which is not super enjoyable. But when it's young like this, it's very hard to have a recipe. Recipe is a guideline. A recipe is an idea. It's like a path. You don't have to take it. You don't have to take it the whole way. The best cooking is when you get fully in tune with your senses and sort of just feel it out. Taste it as you go. Righto, some of this galangal, which is a bit heavy. Once again, I'm not going to peel it because it's so young and so delicious. Not too much galangal in the paste. If you can cut galangal like that, it really is super, super tender and young and delicious. So just chopped up. Ready for the mortar and pestle. Oh. Nothing fancy here, just rough chop it up. I'm also going to sneak in a little piece of ginger because it's just so delicious. So a couple of thin slices into the batch we go. And then turmeric, we also need some coriander root, which I've been soaking. It's all been washed, so we're just going to chop it up so it can be pounded. Garlic, obviously. So a whole whack of that. Love garlic. I don't think. Can you eat too much of it, honestly? I don't think you can. Okay, so I'm going to drain off those seeds that have steeped out of the chilies and fill it back up with warm water. And then we'll start bashing out this lemongrass into the paste as well. It's back into the lemongrass. Righto, let's rip into getting this paste all pounded up. And it will be a labour of love, and I'll end up with the gun club big time by the time I'm done. First things first, always add a little bit of salt to the mortar and pestle because that acts as an abrasive and helps grind the food up. So we just want to get some of this in here and start pounding. Oh, I might get those chilies off the grill as well because they'll go in nicely at the start. Just want to start mashing it up. And the smell straight away, there's just the most incredible perfume. You're picking up notes of ginger and galangal and the lemongrass, which we all know to be so just evocative of this, of the tropics, you know, like really feel like these smells sum up North Queensland, you know. You can already see in here, we're getting what looks like a beautiful curry paste. Okay, time to add a little bit more. We might add our softened chilies now because they'll help moisten up the paste a little. And off we go. A little bit more salt. So obviously we'll have to check the seasoning later on so that we don't get too salty, but that little bit of an extra hand is so helpful because it really does help grind things up. This is a labour of love, but what happens is the bruising of the ingredients as opposed to cutting them just gives the curry that extra bit of spunk. I've got to come clean, gang. I've switched to guns and I threw it in the blender, and I'm going to be in trouble tomorrow morning when my wife's smoothie tastes like curry paste. But it was all taking a bit too long. So I've just given it a quick belt in the blender, and there's that beautiful fragrant paste. I had done the hard work already in the mortar and pestle, but as you can see, that's going to be far more palatable. Okay, so our paste is done and that can sit off to the side. The other thing I need to get on the grill is some shrimp paste. And this is not everyone's cup of tea, but it really does give the backbone to the curry. Heady stuff, people. Making a Thai stylish sort of curry, so I'm using a Thai shrimp paste. You can use the richer belacan, but this one here is what I want for today. It has a really, really funky perfume. So I just need a very generous spoonful. Don't eat it in its raw state. It's not super delicious. You can do though. And then we're going to put that in some tin foil and barbecue it just to drive off some of that moisture and give it a little bit more of a toasty flavour. So pop that on the grill and we'll start making some coconut cream. We're going to make some coconut cream to fry off our curry paste in. Just give it a good knock. No, you are not. Jazz's other favourite thing is coconut. Just need to crack. Here we go. I'm going to crack open the coconut and save this water. And I'll do it for the other one. That's all right. There we go. So now we want to grind up the coconut, just with my little coconut grater here, to get all of the flesh out of the inside. Now you can pick up one of these handy little graters very easily at your Asian supermarket, but it's just a great tool to have in the kitchen, whether you're making desserts or, in this case, a beautiful savoury curry. Wait. Now, if you want to see a happy dog, you give them what's left of the coconut. There you go. She's an absolute terrorist. Her favourite thing is the coconut off the beach. Righto. So we're going to grind the coconut meat out without cutting my finger off. Mix this beautiful freshly grated coconut flesh with the water that came out of the coconut. You can already see it's getting milky and greasy. Now, if you do this with warm water, you can extract a lot more of the fat. Ideally, we want that to sit for a few more minutes just to extract as much of that coconut essence out of the meat. We'll let that sit and then we'll give it a good squeeze. Hopefully Jazz doesn't get it before we do. So to make the coconut cream, we're going to squeeze out this beautiful juice. So I've just set up a bowl with a napkin. Again, another possibility my wife will leave me for using one of these linen napkins for this job, but that's all right. We just have the most exquisite coconut milk, and the cream will separate and come to the top. Squeezing out, trying to extract every last little bit without tearing the cloth of that beautiful coconut deliciousness. The leftover coconut that's left in here, I'm going to put back in the tray and we'll toast it in the oven and then scatter it over the curry later. The shrimp paste, which you can smell everywhere, is done. It just smells toasty and delicious and shrimpy. So I'm just going to grab that off the barbecue. And the squeezed out coconut, the stuff is like a desiccated coconut almost. You can feel how dry and powdery it is. I'm just going to pop that in a better tray and a better oven pan. I'm going to pop this guy on the hearth to dry out and get really toasty and delicious. So that can just sit sort of in the front of the oven there. Now we need to set up the ducks in the smoker. We're going to get the sausages in the smoker. It's game time, people. Let's do this. Righto, time to get these ducks in the smoker. So you can see these bad boys have really firmed up. Looking great. Little snags. So we're going to bang these straight in the smoker. I'm going to have to get them up to about 75 degrees internal, 65 to 75 to make sure they're cooked through, but they feel beautiful and firm. So I'll pop those in the smoker as well. I'm going to put these guys right down the back so they can just cook really slowly. Looks pretty. Okay, time to start firing up the wok and get this curry underway. So I have some vegetable oil here as well. So we're going to add, first of all, a fair whack of oil to our hot wok, and I want it to be nice and greasy. Into that, we're going to ladle off the top part of this coconut, which is the coconut cream. You can see that it's instantly separating out into coconut fat. And a little bit longer, we're going to go in with our curry paste. Right, to this we're going to add some more curry leaves. Straight in there, giving it a stir. And some kaffir lime leaves. And you can already smell that paste starting to get really fragrant. And the perfume of that is absolutely incredible. Righto, let's get some spices ready. So I'm going to add some of our spices we toasted earlier as well, just to give the curry even more fragrance. Just keeping a lazy eye on it so it doesn't burn. And it's back onto the mortar and pestle. You can hear the wok sizzling. So that means time to give it another stir. Smell those shallots are already starting to caramelise. When we're cooking out the paste, we want it to be like a cup of tea. It's like getting better and better and better, and there's that perfect moment when all of the moisture's gone and the inherent sugars in the garlic and the shallots and the ginger and the galangal start to caramelise. You start to get a natural sweetness from the fructose and the sugar in the ingredients rather than adding extra sugar. Right, I've got my spices pounded up there. I'm going to add my shrimp paste. Oh, smells like the jungle, to be honest. The perfume now of that shrimp paste, roasted, made stronger, and with the spices pounded into them, it is just, oh. We're going to add to it our shrimp and our spices. Continue to fry. Now, I might just add a tickle more vegetable oil to that. And you can see the paste separating. It's coming alive. Next, we need to throw in some palm sugar. Now, little known fact, if you turn your mortar and pestle upside down, it's concave. And that is because it's the way it's perfect for crushing up the sugar before we use it. Righto. Now we're using a nice beautiful pale palm sugar here. It gives it that really rich caramelised flavour. Not as rich, say, as dark palm sugar, but certainly more characteristic than white sugar. I'm going to add some sugar straight to the curry so that it can caramelise. Now this is going to be quite a sweet sauce because we're serving it with duck, and duck is very fatty. You see that caramelising in front of our eyes. Super rich. We're going to add our coconut cream, or coconut milk actually. I'm going to add some water as well. To season this curry, we're going to need some tamarind, which we'll soak in warm water, and some green pineapple that we're going to grate and add in a moment. So first things first is just get the tamarind out of its pack and soak it in some water. And this releases the fruit off the seeds and has the most delicious plum-like quality. It's sour, ever so slightly sweet, but really, really fruit sour. And you can see that a thick brown liquid's going to get made out of this. So with the pineapple, I've selected one that is still quite green. It's a bit of a whopper, this one. So we just need to take off the head and then trim off the hard exterior of the pineapple. Now this is a lot of pineapple, but we need the sauce to get balanced by this natural fruity tartness. Okay, so we take the skins and use those for another purpose. I'm going to get my trusty old grater from when a much younger version of me travelled the world. And I got it in Vietnam, and it's an absolute ripper for a job like this. So, cut the pineapple, and then what we want to do is grate it. I've got it upside down, as is the case. Careful not to graze the knuckles here. That pineapple has been obliterated. So with the pineapple grated and bashed up, we're going to add that to the mix. Look at that. Next, we're going to add some peanuts. So these have just been toasted and crumbled up. So I'm going to add those into our curry to braise, and they'll help thicken it up and give it that really nutty, beautiful, almost bitter perfume and flavour. Already this is starting to taste like a whole wok full of sunshine. We need to start adding some more seasoning. There was a lot of salt into that paste, but it needs that fish sauce, bit of funk, bit of spunk. Fish sauce gives things the background. It's the umami flavour. It's the bones of a sauce or a good dressing. It's what gives it its fire in its belly. So just need to start seasoning this guy up with a fair whack of fish sauce. And I'm also going to give it a little bit of white pepper, just for that different fire, that different mouth. Woo! Now I've made a total mess of my kitchen, which is pretty standard. We're going to add some tamarind to the mix and then let it simmer away for a while, and we'll check on those ducks. So the tamarind here has been soaking in water. Do yourself a favour sometime, just taste it as it is, just taste that. And sort of get used to bracingly sour, but super delicious and fruity at the same time. Get used to that flavour because it's a really good one to use in your repertoire. Now I'm just going to strain this into the curry. And we'll let that tickle away for a moment or two. Get our fire under control now. Now it's just time for it to take its bath. Righto, we are ready to go here, guys. They look absolutely smashing. Plump, taut. You can feel that breast meat's like perfectly cooked. And Sosso's, look at these bad boys. Firm, crunchy, delicious. We better grab the meat out and get it all ready to go. What we want to do is catch all of these beautiful juices without dropping them. So with a nice cloth, just got to make sure we carefully pull out, and that is the stuff of gods. Seriously, that is straight duck juice fortified with spices and ginger. Oh, absolutely incredible. So what we want to do now is just get these legs off here. There'll probably be even more juices to collect. So I've taken these guys off when they're still not fully cooked. The breast will be beautiful though and succulent and pink. But these legs are definitely going to need a moment longer in the big oven. So that one off. Just pop those in the tray. Ooh. Okay. Get the last of those juices out. And I'll make sure I get the rest off the board too. And this guy can hang straight up above the fire. Look at that. And into here, every last skerrick of flavour. And I'm going to pour this juice, this beautiful spicy duck juice, straight into the curry. I'll do that with all the other ones. Now the sausages are set, and we'll probably just hang these guys up as well, I reckon, just until we're ready to use them. You can tell they're cooked. I've given them a test with the probe and they're at 65 degrees, so they're good to go. There's no two ways about that. hang that above the fireplace as well. Might put them a little lower down. So it's all dripping into that curry sauce. Now the curry sauce is really thick and really rich, but it's not quite there. We've got a couple more little bits of seasoning to go, yep. We've also collected the fat from the duck as it's cooked. Smoky, greasy duck fat. In it goes. Oh, the way those ducks are dripping down onto the sausage, glazing them in duck fat. Just a thing of wonder, to be honest. Now see how we're going here. Knockout flavour, knockout. I want to get these duck legs back in the oven. We can eat them now, but they're pretty chewy because they've been sitting sort of probably haven't fully rendered out yet. They're very, very close though. They're just a bit firm coming off the bone. So what we're going to do, just so they get a beautiful glaze on them in the oven, I'm going to give them a little flick of fish sauce, just so they get a touch more salinity. I've also got some white sugar. And the white sugar I'm just going to sprinkle in here over the skins, so the skins get nice and burnished and brown, mahogany coloured. Nearly burnt, elegantly so. Cook them. We'll use a little bit of the tamarind from earlier, the tamarind water. And that'll boil away in the bottom of the tray so the flesh becomes succulent and those skins will crisp right up. Now those guys are going into the wood oven for another 20 minutes or so. So let's start putting this dish together. I'm going to take one of my sausages and one of these beautiful duck crowns, and I'm going to roast it through the oven to see if I can't crisp it up a little bit like the legs. And I'll take a Soso and sneak him in there next to the breast and pop those straight in the oven as well. While that's roasting, we'll get the other garnishes ready to go. So I've got some finger limes. These guys are grown up in Kuranda, and at this time of year they are just absolutely incredible, just pops of beautiful eucalyptus sourness, particularly with these green ones. Now the red ones, they have an altogether different flavour. They're almost a little bit more like a grapefruit, a little bit sweeter but still bitter. So we'll put some of that through. I've got some snake beans here. So I thought I might just do some raw snake beans. Often you boil these. If you're not careful when you're growing snake beans in the garden, they grow as long as cucumbers overnight. But I thought I might just do a few little discs of raw bean. There's nothing like the snap and crunch of a juicy raw bean. And we'll do a little bit more lemongrass. You can hear that sizzling. Also the guy on the angle grinder is back, which is handy, isn't it? Okay, a little bit of our lemongrass. Needs to be super fine. Then I've got some crispy fried shallots, crispy fried curry leaves. We've got some of these carambola, which are lovely and fruity, crunchy and sort of sour like a green apple. So you can eat them when they're ripe, but they're also fantastic like this. Just, woo! And bracingly sour, which is fantastic because we've got a pretty rich and fatty curry there. But yes, they are. Woo! Also got a pomelo. Not sure if you guys have had pomelo before, but this is just the most beautiful fruit. It's like a giant big grapefruit with a huge amount of pith. As you can see, the segments are just amazing. So I've chosen a lot of fruits to put with the curry today because it is really quite a rich sauce that I've made. You know, strong with the shrimp paste, strong with the duck fat, plenty of sugar and tamarind and coconut cream, unashamedly naughty. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be super rich. And a couple of beautiful fresh kaffir lime leaves just shredded. So it's been an epic cook-up. We've got sausages, we've got legs and breast of duck, I've got this incredible sauce. So let's try and get one on the plate, shall we? So we'll grab a plate and a ladle full of this absolutely couldn't be more decadent peanut and pineapple curry. I mean, look at that. We'll grab one of our legs. Hot. Cut that guy through the joint. See how the skin's gone all crispy and lacquered from the sugar. That guy can go in there. And then a slice of soso. It's going to burst everywhere. So I'm just going to give it a little slice off the end here. Look at that. I think we'll go generous big. Woo! She's hot. And now the breast. So the breast is super hot as well. So just going to cut along there. You can hear the skin cracking. Just gently ease this off the bone, off the breastplate. Just because we can, another little crunch of salt on that skin. We'll just carefully carve this breast. So now it's time to garnish it up with some of the things we cut before. We've got some snake beans, nice and raw and crunchy and juicy. Some lemongrass. You can smell it. It's just delicious. I'm going to squeeze over some finger lime. Oh, there it goes. Just some sour pops. Some of these beautiful sour stars with carambola. Some kaffir lime threads. Not too many, just a few. And then we've got some herbs. So from the garden, I've got some beautiful cranberry hibiscus. This almost tastes like grapes. It's got a sour and beautiful fruity flavour as well. Vietnamese mint at this time of year, it almost reminds me of the cherry blossoms in Japan at the same time of year. It throws off these beautiful long tendrils of flower. You tear the leaves up as you eat it. They just smell so rich and spicy. I've got some Thai basil in here as well, which has that beautiful anise flavour, echoing the star anise that we did earlier. Just one or two of those. And finally, I haven't forgotten the toasted coconut from when we made the coconut cream all those hours ago. It feels like now. So there you have it, team. There's my peanut and pineapple curry of smoked duck. It's an absolute bowl of sunshine on a plate. It basically, if you could taste North Queensland, it would be right there. We've made some coconut cream. We've made duck neck sausages. I've been smoking it here for hours over ironbark. It is just a flavour explosion. Salty, sour from the tamarind, sour from the finger limes, the beautiful taste of pineapple in the background, and then just this spice note that just takes you on a ride all the way to heaven. Thanks heaps, gang. See you soon.